The empire that ruled all 400s of years, the Archon Dominion ruled the stars, their flag waved above hundreds of worlds. Their fleets burned entire systems to ash. No one challenged them, not the older races, not the merchant guilds, not the council. Everyone feared the Dominion's size, speed, and cruelty. They called their strongest fleet the Unbroken Sky. Every ship in it was massive, black, and deadly. Peace in the galaxy did not mean freedom. It meant submission, but one planet did not kneel. Earth. Humans had once tried to join the galactic community. They were laughed at. Weak. Too emotional. Too wild. The Council gave Earth to the Dominion as part of a secret deal, one less problem to manage, but Earth vanished. No one knew what happened. No messages. No trade. No visitors, just silence. Now, 20 years later, a warning came. One of the Dominion's outposts was destroyed. Then another. No one saw the attacker. No one survived. All that remained was black scorch marks and one repeating message, burned into station walls: you should not have touched Earth. At the Dominion's Grand Palace, the Supreme Marshal slammed his hand on the table. One ship, he shouted. One Terran warship is doing this. His advisor nodded. Yes, sir. It has been confirmed. One vessel. Human-built. Code name. Vindicator. The Marshal's eyes narrowed. Impossible. No single ship can do this. But the data didn't lie. Vindicator had destroyed 7 war platforms, 12 dreadnoughts, and 1 star forge. Alone. In the far edges of a dying star system. Vindicator drifted like a predator in deep waters, dark gray armor. No visible lights. No signal. It was silent death, wrapped in steel. Inside, Captain RYL sat in the command chair. He wore no medals. His voice was calm. He had only one order from Earth Command: make them remember us. His crew was small, handpicked. All silent. All deadly. No speeches. No songs, just mission. The Dominion sent 3 full fleets to Sector 9. They expected an easy win. Instead, they found floating metal, cut clean in 2. Their ships didn't explode. They simply stopped existing. The last surviving pilot's message was garbled, but one word was clear: monster. In the council chamber, fear spread. They said humans were gone. One ambassador said, they are not gone. Darren, the old diplomat, whispered. They are just awake now. And the rest of the galaxy had made the mistake of forgetting them. The unseen enemy in the command tower of the Archon Dominion's fleet command. Alarms echoed. System. After system went dark, outposts, supply hubs, even entire communication relays. And in every case, it was the same story: no warning. No signals, just silence, then destruction. The High Fleet strategist stood frozen before a flickering screen. How is this happening? He whispered. An officer replied nervously. Every wreckage shows traces of Terran metal. The same design. The same pattern. One ship. Always one ship. The strategist stepped back. This isn't war, he said. This is a message. Far from the Empire's core, the Vindicator moved through asteroid belts and gravity storms like a ghost. Its engines left no trail. Its weapons fired only once per target, and never missed. Inside, Captain RYL stared at a silent monitor. A Dominion cargo ship drifted helplessly ahead. He waited. The cargo ship had children aboard. His second-in-command looked at him. RYL's voice was steady. Spare them. Send a warning. A small drone left Vindicator's bay. It docked with a enemy ship and left behind a single phrase, painted in bright Terran red: this time, we forgive. Next time, we erase. The cargo ship escaped untouched. The story spread like wildfire. For the first time, civilians began fleeing Dominion space, not to escape Earth's wrath, but to find it. To surrender to the humans. Because behind every act of destruction, there was restraint. In the Dominion's capital, chaos unfolded. Propaganda channels tried to spin the tale. This is just rogue tech, they claimed. Earth is weak. They always were. But the soldiers knew the truth. In back rooms, officers whispered, we can't stop it. And the whispers grew into fear. The Galactic Council finally acted. A peace envoy was sent. But Earth never answered. Not because they didn't hear, but because Vindicator was Earth's answer. When the Council ship approached the last known human position, they found nothing. No ship. No wreckage, only a small metal tablet floating in space, engraved with one sentence: "You gave them our world. Now we give them back your fear." In a hidden command post, Dominion war leaders argued, "We need more ships. Deploy the world burners." But none of it mattered. Vindicator had already entered the core systems. Captain RYL received new coordinates. He stared at them in silence. The Dominion homeworld. He closed his eyes for a moment, then gave the order, "Prepare the charge. We end it." The crew didn't cheer. They simply moved, fast, quiet, focused. This wasn't revenge, this was justice. The heart of the Empire, the Dominion homeworld, Arvaxis, was the pride of 1,000 conquered stars. Golden towers rose high into the sky. Massive fleets hovered in orbit. Ground cannons lined every ridge. They believed no enemy could ever reach them. No one ever had, until now. At 3:17 Standard Time, long-range sensors picked up a shadow, just one. It didn't match any known vessel. No identification. No signal. No response, only movement, fast, deliberate, unstoppable. The Dominion War Council was called into emergency session. The Supreme Marshal himself stood before the war table, face tight with fear. "What are we facing?" A tech officer answered, barely keeping calm. "One Terran ship. No escorts. It's headed straight for us." "Then destroy it," he shouted. "We've already fired 30 missiles. 24 ion beams. Direct hits. No damage." The room fell silent. Above Arvaxis, Vindicator slowed as it entered high orbit. Inside, Captain RYL stared at the burning skies below. He gave no speech. No warning. He simply tapped a command. Down on the surface, the Supreme Marshal watched as the skies turned red, not from fire, but from interference. Every screen, every system, hijack. A simple message appeared on every wall, every helmet, every visor: "You ruled with fear. Now feel it." And then came the storm. Vindicator's first strike was not a weapon, it was an EMP burst. Every Dominion defense system shut down, orbital cannons powered off, fighters fell from the sky like dead birds. Then the plasma beams came, silent arcs of white fire, carving through command towers, shipyards, and fortresses with surgical precision. It wasn't random. It was planned. RYL's crew had studied the Dominion for years, its leaders, its fuel lines, its blind spots. Within 10 minutes, the capital city's defense grid collapsed. The Dominion tried to retaliate. A small wing of fighter craft launched from underground bays and swarmed toward the lone Terran ship. They never got close. Vindicator's AI locked on, and within seconds, the fighters vanished, disintegrated by focused energy pulses. No wreckage. No screams, just nothing. On the ground, civilians screamed, but not from the blasts, from the silence. This was no battle. It was an execution. Deep inside the Dominion's palace, the Supreme Marshal stood trembling. His advisors had fled. The floor shook as part of the structure collapsed above, and then he heard it, the voice, broadcasted into the palace chambers: "Calm. Human. Cold. This is for Earth." The Marshal sank to his knees, back aboard the Vindicator. Captain RYL watched as flames rose across the skyline. He didn't smile. He simply asked, "Are the objectives complete?" His second-in-command nodded. "Yes." "High command is neutralized. Military network offline. Civilian evacuation corridors untouched. Then we're done." The order was given. Vindicator turned away. It had made its point. The Empire was broken, and Earth had used only one ship. The fall of Arvaxis sent a shockwave across the galaxy. The Dominion's capital was gone, not fully destroyed, but broken, silenced, humbled, and it had taken just one Terran warship to do it. The rest of the galaxy watched in stunned silence. Governments halted. Trade lanes froze. Entire species paused their own conflicts, waiting to see what would come next, because if the humans had done this to them, who would be next? In the ruins of the Dominion Palace, citizens gathered in stunned crowds. They expected more fire, more death, but none came. The Vindicator hadn't wiped out cities. It had only struck the powerful command towers, weapon systems, fleet control centers. Not one school. Not one hospital. Not one marketplace was touched. It was as if the humans were saying, "We didn't come to kill your people, only your empire." Back aboard Vindicator, Captain RYL stood alone in the observation deck. He watched the planet Grow smaller through the viewport. No one cheered. No one clapped. This was not a victory, this was a reminder. Earth had not forgotten how it had been cast out. It had not forgotten the silence of the galaxy when its colonies burned. Now the galaxy would remember what silence could do in return. At the Galactic Council chamber, chaos erupted. Did you see the footage? They spared civilians. That was strategic fire, not vengeance. Why didn't Earth answer our offers for peace? Darren, the elder diplomat, rose slowly, because Earth knew we only offer peace when we are afraid. The room went quiet. He continued, we gave them nothing when they begged for help. We handed them to the Dominion without a word. And now? Now we get silence, because they are showing us we're not even worth words. In orbit above a neutral moon, a small Dominion fleet gathered. They had not received word from Central Command in days. Then, suddenly, a Terran message came through, text only, simple, unmistakable, disarm and surrender. We will not ask twice. The Dominion captain laughed at first, but then the Vindicator appeared, alone, silent. The captain turned pale, his crew dropped their weapons before he could even speak, across Dominion space. The pattern repeated, commanders surrendered, worlds declared neutrality, Dominion flags were torn down not by soldiers, but by their own people. They were done with fear, they were done with the lies, and all it took was one ship, far from the war zones. In the shadows of a quiet Earth bunker, Admiral Holt stood watching the reports stream in. An aide approached. Sir, the Dominion is collapsing. Holt nodded. Expected. Orders for Vindicator. He thought for a long moment, then spoke, pull back. Let the galaxy clean its own mess now. They finally understand. In Dominion space, people began calling it the fall without war. No invasions. No planetary bombardments, just one ship. One warning. One answer, and now, the stars belong to no empire. The galaxy had changed. No more parades of Dominion warships. No more screaming broadcasts about power or control. Instead, quiet ruled. For the first time in generations, colonies looked to the stars, not with fear, but with hope. They whispered one name, Vindicator. It had become legend in a matter of weeks. Mothers told stories of how one Terran ship ended a 1,000-year rule. Pilots painted Earth's colors on their wings, not to claim allegiance, but to earn protection. In the Dominion's outer systems, captains of scattered fleets made the same decision, turn off weapons, drop the flags, and vanish, without orders, without a purpose. Their empire was gone, and Vindicator still roamed, but Vindicator wasn't hunting anymore. It floated in deep space. Now, near a cold, dying star. No movement. No signal. Its mission was complete. Inside, Captain RYL sat in the command chair, watching quiet stars beyond the glass. He didn't speak, his crew didn't celebrate, the only sound was the low hum of the ship's systems. Where to next? The pilot finally asked. RYL replied without looking, nowhere. The ship powered down its engines and went dark, not hidden, not afraid, just silent. A message, sent without words, we came when you forgot us. We leave so you won't. Back on Earth, the skies remained calm. The people had not cheered when the mission ended. Instead, they planted trees, held silence, rebuilt what had been lost long ago. For humans, the mission was never about glory. It was about memory. In the halls of the new council chamber, Darren stood once more. This time, they all listened. There was a time we laughed at Earth. Now, we study them. A young delegate asked, but they never answered us. How can we rebuild trust? Darren pointed to a display behind him, an image of the Vindicator. Drifting among stars, we rebuild not by words, but by being better than we were when we failed them. In a quiet mountain temple on the planet Rena, monks lit a single flame each night. No prayers. No sermons, only a plaque below the flame, to the ones who reminded the stars that silence can speak louder than war. The Dominion. Gone its generals. Vanished its cities. Still standing, but changed. Some rose in rebellion, creating free systems, others begged Earth for guidance. They never received a reply, and that was Earth's final message. We didn't come to rule. We came to remind. On the edge of the Andros Vale, a scavenger ship found a piece of floating debris. A Terran beacon. It played one last message in a calm voice. You asked where Earth went. Now you know where we were. Everywhere. Watching. Waiting. And finally, done. Time moved on, weeks turned into months, the galactic news feeds tried to move past it. They spoke of rebuilding, of alliances, of hope, but behind every announcement was the shadow of Vindicator. No other ship had been seen since it vanished into deep space, and yet, no one dared test the silence, because somewhere out there, that one ship still watched. In a council chamber on the neutral world of Keller Prime, diplomats met again. A debate broke out about expansion, territory, new trade zones, but when one representative mentioned sending fleets into former Earth-claimed zones, a cold silence filled the room. Another delegate stood. No one owns those zones now, he said, but we all know who still guards them. Across space, pirates attempted to rebuild their broken networks. One crew, bold and foolish, raided an abandoned Terran listening post. They laughed, they looted, and then, without warning, their ship vanished. No explosion. No message, only an empty spot in space where it used to be. Other pirate bands heard the story. They scattered. On the outer colony of Veres, a child asked his father, "Why don't the warships come here anymore?" The father looked up at the sky, "Because Earth came once. And now, they don't need to." Aboard Vindicator, nothing had changed. The crew still ran drills, systems were checked, weapons were calibrated, but the engines remained silent. They didn't hunt, they didn't chase, they waited. In a place no one dared to enter, Captain Ryl stood before a glowing star map. Dozens of Dominion systems were now marked to free. He pressed a button. The map faded to black. "Status?" he asked. His second-in-command replied, "All quiet, sir. Not a single hostile movement." He nodded slowly, then let it stay that way. No orders were sent. No movements made, but the message was clear. Earth was still watching. Elsewhere, in ancient libraries across the stars, a new phrase entered the archives: the silence doctrine. It had no author. No signature, just words carved into stone and circuits. To speak with peace, remain strong. To speak with war, remain silent. To speak as Earth did, leave one ship behind. Some believed Earth had sent a fleet and only let one ship be seen. Others believed Earth had many Vindicators waiting unseen in dark space, but the truth was simpler. They had only needed one. Because in that one ship, they had shown the galaxy what Earth had become. Not rulers, not invaders, just a reminder. Of what happens when you push the wrong world too far. And now, the stars were quiet, but not calm, because Earth was still out there, and the galaxy would never forget. 50 cycles had passed, fleets had been rebuilt, empires had shifted, new alliances had formed, but none dared raise their banners the same way the Archon Dominion once did. No one made threats. No one demanded Earth's surrender. The memory of Vindicator was too fresh. Even decades later. It wasn't just a ship anymore. It was a symbol. A warning written in silence. Fire and restraint. On the new learning moon of Senna 4, history was taught carefully. Children were shown old footage, Dominion banners falling, city spared, one Terran warship moving through fire like a god in steel. Their teacher spoke softly, "This is why Earth was feared." A curious student asked, "Why didn't they conquer us?" The teacher paused. "They didn't want our worlds," she said. "They only wanted us to stop thinking they were weak." In the ruins of the old Dominion capital, grass now grew through cracked stone. The city was not rebuilt. Instead, it was preserved, left untouched as a memorial. A single sign stood at the center: "Here fell the pride of the stars, before one quiet ship." Deep in a hidden sector, the Vindicator still existed. Most believed it had shut down, retired, turned into a museum. They were wrong. The ship still moved, rarely, and never near populated space. It watched forgotten battlefields. It passed through the edge of uncharted space. It answered no hails. It sent no threats. It simply remained, and that was enough. On Earth, life was calm, peaceful, not because humanity was feared, but because it was respected. They had proven their point. One ship had ended an empire, and then they walked away. They could have ruled the stars. Instead, they chose silence. In a quiet Terran archive, beneath a mountain facility no outsider had ever seen, a child walked beside her grandfather. She paused before a glowing display. It showed the Vindicator drifting in darkness, surrounded by nothing but stars. "Is it still out there?" she asked. Her grandfather smiled faintly. "Yes." "Why?" He looked at the image for a long moment, then replied, "Because someone has to remember what silence means." For above, a star blinked out. For a second, it was just space, but then, if one looked closely, they would see it, a shadow moving. A warship, silent, watching, and then gone again, like it had never been there. But everyone who saw it would say the same thing: Earth hasn't left. Earth is just patient. Asterisk.